Can you imagine if there's a dating app for that?
Depression Mingle.
Hey, this is Sugar Honey Bubble Tea. We are back, and this is a podcast aimed to amplify Asian women voices through critical thinking and meaningful conversations.
And you are?
I am none the other, Ange.
Hello, I am Toby. And we're back. Before we start today's episode, please go ahead and follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at SUGAHONEYBBT. And we post a lot of podcast-related segments and contents throughout the week, so make sure you go check it out.
Yes, and if you love us, you will leave us a 5-star review on Apple.
Yes.
If you hate us, you will leave us a 5-star review on Apple. If you feel indifferent about us, you will also leave us a 5-star review on Apple. And same thing goes for PayPal.
Yes. You can give us money.
You can PayPal us if you want to support us because we work very hard. And you can find the link to PayPal in our Instagram bio. Yeah. I feel like since we've taken a break, which we'll talk about later, that I have no idea how to run a podcast anymore.
How to be. And also, once you give us a PayPal donation, we'll give you a shout out on the pod.
Yes, we'll do that.
We'll give you an unsolicited anything, advice, whatever we want to say.
Yeah. So this week we have a shout out to Teen.
Our generous sponsor, Teen.
Yes. And Oliver. Teen's dog.
Oliver, yeah. Oliver, just wake up and choke Teen.
And make Teen call you daddy.
Or Teen, wake up and choke choke.
Peter is on your ass so quick.
I know. They're like, what are you trying to say? I don't know. Choke your employer by the throat and make him call you daddy.
Oh, Teen, wake up and choke a regular ass milk latte at JJ Bean and make it call you daddy, not affiliated.
Yes. Because alternative milk gang.
Will people give us money? This is so random. Okay, anyway, so we took a break. What was that? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
It was kind of uncalled for. I think we took a break because we had to figure out this hosting situation, and then it kind of turned into like it was kind of nice to have a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this podcast has ran for a year and a half, over a year and a half without a break.
Yes.
I think we took like the odd like a week or two, a week here and there, just because because life happens. So we take like a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah.
But we've never really like taken a break. Yeah. So it was, I had like this whole cycle of feeling. At first I was anxious because I'm like, everyone's going to forget about us on Tuesday. Everyone will just collectively forget about us. And you know what it is? It's like I could see the following numbers go down. Not a lot, but like just a little bit. And it's just the cost of my anxiety. I'm like, people are forgetting about me. I no longer serve a purpose in this world. I am nothing.
Yeah.
And then I went into like being overly productive.
Yeah.
But like maybe not necessarily like work or the podcast, but it's more like overly productive in life. Yeah. I'm just like, I have to wake up at 7:15 every day and read a book, you know? Like something I'm like, if I'm not doing this, I have to do something. Yeah. And that's just the whole like society and capitalism getting to me. Where it's like, I don't know how to rest because rest feels like a luxury. And then I went into doubt. I'm like, is this even what I want to do? What if I just cancel the entire podcast?
Just put it on pause, but forever. We're just going to take a break.
And so I went through this whole roller coaster of emotions, and then I went into calm. I'm like, okay, no, I need to calm down. That's fine. And then I went into focus on the essential, largely due to the book I'm reading, Essentialism. Yeah. But then I'm just thinking, before we took the break, we were doing all this stuff. And sometimes we're pumping out content just for the sake of pumping out content. Like, is it necessary? is anyone here to see this? Or are we just doing it because I have to post something on Tuesdays? So yeah, that got me thinking a lot about like our direction and like what we want to essentially do or our purpose. And that's why you see like our intro has changed, our bio has changed a little bit. Just because like I feel like we could be better focused on the things that we actually want to say. Like I don't know, like I feel like sometimes I go into these transition period where I feel like, oh, like this is interesting, this is what people want to hear, let's talk about it, but it's not necessarily our purpose or our mission of the podcast. So that's how I felt. How's your mental health?
It was not great. Like I feel like I'm kind of like on the verge of burning out, so I'm like really fatigued. But
Right now,
yeah, yes,
at this moment,
well, I've been feeling like this for about a month-ish. So yes, but I think it's gonna get better. Brighter days are ahead.
Yeah.
So let me just. Now I'm just like lying in my deathbed. I'm like, it's fine, everyone.
Do you feel like, because we talk about mental health so much on this podcast, and most people who listen to us knows that like we pretty much quote unquote like trying to normalize mental health. Do you think we have as a society normalized mental health? Like if I'm just saying all this, and will someone just listen to us and be like, oh, these weak cunts taking 3 weeks off,
these dramatic people
living their little dramatic life of theirs.
I know, my silly little feelings.
Yeah.
I feel like this year, I mean, like from the past year, like ever since COVID hit, I feel like everyone has been like normalized mental health, this and that, and it's gonna be like a very long process, and this is like just the beginning, because I think there's like the full scope of mental health. I feel like a lot of people don't understand, and because it's like so like out of touch with their regular life. Like nobody's like, oh my God, I'm gonna go learn about bipolar disorder at like
2 a.m.
Yeah, which is what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like it's like fully normalized. I think aspects of it has been normalized, right? Yeah. What's your thought?
I think in order to truly normalize something, you have to have understanding of it, like full understanding of it. And to me, it almost feels like COVID has definitely pushed that part in people's regular, like their definition of mental health, or like their perception of mental health. It has definitely helped.
Yes.
But I think it more so in a way that is more like normalize the stigma of mental health, or normalize having feelings or being okay with emotion. Like the something I hear all the time after COVID is like, it's okay to be not okay, or it's okay to have feelings. You're entitled to your feelings. Yeah. You're entitled to your emotions. So like, it's almost either people really fully feel like it's okay, or it's just something like people are saying. It's just collectively we're all saying it.
It's just like a little hit saying.
Yeah, or people are actually feeling these mental illness, or like because of COVID, it's a really pretty traumatic experience, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of people are having anxiety or depression, and they understand, oh, that's what it is. And other people with these conditions, they're much more empathetic towards it. So I don't know if it's like we have fully normalized it, but it definitely feels like the icing on top has, it feels like the first layer is being normalized, is being understood. But the different like layers of mental illness, or different conditions and the separate mental illness have not really been fully understood.
Yeah. I think it's really easy for us to understand, like, I'm feeling depressed, I'm having like a depressive episode or whatnot, but it is different than compared to say like clinical depression, or like bipolar disorder. Like those are not just like feelings that like you like normalize. It's like things that people live with in their life. So it's like we have only just started to look at like the most intro of everything. Like, I have feelings, like what you say, like emotions or whatnot. Yeah.
Not to say or undermine or gaslight anyone's feelings or their condition, but I feel like through COVID, it has definitely pushed us into a realm where people are much more willing to be understanding or empathetic towards feelings.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking about this. Like, I live in a society, and by that I mean North America, where people are more empathetic towards mental illness.
Yeah.
But I come from a place, which is Asia, that still have that is still a little slower in normalizing mental illness.
Yeah.
So for me, I sometimes will feel, that's why I'm much more comfortable with friends than like my Asian parents or my Asian side of my Asian family, is because I could feel like with my friends or people in this society with me, they are much more empathetic with what I'm going through. But when I go to the Asian side of my family, I'm in this constant struggle where I'm like, oh, I'm okay because it's okay to be not okay, and then immediately I get gaslight by my Asian family.
Like, you ungrateful little, you silly little thing, living your ungrateful little life.
Because being in that situation where I'm talking about my feelings to my mom, it's like they're just, I don't think they fully understand I don't think it has normalized for them.
I think it's
not even the emotion part.
I mean, I think it's like coming from like how they grew up or lived their life for so long. It was all about like the material stuff. Like, oh, if I'm like eating good, I have like a roof over my head and stuff, then that's good. Like, I'm having a good life. So like what's the fuss about like feelings or like feeling sad? But I think times have changed, and maybe it takes some time, or, you know, takes a mom to go through depression for them to understand what it's like. So
do you think normalizing mental illness in the society has led to glamorizing or romanticizing it?
Yeah, for those of you who are not immersed in the TikTok community,
tell us.
Gen Z. So on like TikTok, there's just like a lot of like mental health related content, and it's like been so normalized. Yeah. And it's kind of like formed into like the trend of like self-diagnosing and all that. And I feel like it almost has become like cool. I don't know, like that's just like my feelings of it. And it's, I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe it does give me like the spark.
Will you be attracted to someone who's mentally ill?
I don't know. I mean, I had.
But is that like
that was not like the reason though.
Is it because they're mentally ill, or is it because you were mentally ill?
It's because at the time
the savior complex.
I'm like, baby, I can walk you through your trauma. But yeah, like you on TikTok, like you definitely see like romanticizing of depressive episode, or like they kind of make it look like it's nothing. Like they talk about it very lightheartedly, which I think could be good. But
that's like the icing of normalizing.
Yes, exactly.
Because sometimes I go through these feelings where I'm like, I am so depressed. Like I am so mentally ill. Yeah. And a couple days later, I'm like, I think I'm okay.
You're like, I'm that bitch again.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Yeah. And then I just like, you know what? No, I gaslight myself. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm not mentally ill. I think I'm fine. Yeah. I think maybe I'm bipolar.
I just have borderline personality disorder.
Do you think two mentally ill people should date?
Okay, like I had that thought like a while ago, and I was like, you know what? It will like only work if a mentally ill person dates another mentally ill person. But it might be really, really chaotic and toxic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you know how like cancer patients have support groups? Like wouldn't it just be like a support group? Or will two people just be worse? Like,
I don't know. I think it depends on your outlook on like depression. Like
on life.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
two mentally ill people can start podcasts. But they probably can't fuck each other. I don't know.
please, I've shut that off like long time ago. But I don't know. I think it's like, because like personally, I just kind of treat like mental illness as a thing that you have to manage, like a lifelong disease. You know what I mean? And
Do you think then, are you saying that two mentally ill people can date if they're on the same level of mental illness?
they have to have the same
stage. You know what I mean?
So like,
It's like you can't. I have been depressed for 5 years, and I'm dating someone who has only been depressed for 2
newly
months.
depressed,
Newly depressed.
newly
That won't
bipolar, or like you have to match your depression, match your mental illness.
Can you imagine if there's a dating app for that?
Depression Mingle,
Like Christian Mingle, but like
depression.
Mingle, and then you have to state in your bio how long you've been depressed.
Yes. Hello, I'm Toby, and I have depression
For 2 years.
Yeah, I wonder if that will work.
And then it'll just match you with people that have the same
Symptoms, or like on the same antidepressants.
You can't have the same symptoms. Then maybe it'll match you like, you know how like opposites attract?
Yeah.
Like if you're narcissistic, you have to be matched with someone who has like anxiety, self-image issues.
Oh,
So you can help each other out.
it's just like the most toxic of all.
Yeah.
Match.
Yeah. So like the extreme of each end will match. Like,
What's it
so if you're
called?
on the spectrum, you gotta be like on the extreme end of the spectrum.
We have to go on Shark Tank.
Oh my God.
Like, I have an idea
For a dating app.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
That would be bizarre.
I had been entangled with men who had like mental illness, or was like going through depression and stuff like that. But I think at the time I was like quite newly depressed.
They're also quite newly depressed.
I'm not sure, but see, here's the thing about depression, because it's like being entangled in mental illness myself. I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I don't want to get better. Like I just need to like simmer for a little bit, and like you know, it's okay to not be okay. But now that like for a while, I'm kind of like, okay, like it's okay to not be okay, but like what can I do for myself when I'm not feeling okay? Almost like that narrative, because I'm like so tired for feeling like that.
Like, because I don't know if two mentally ill people should date. Like, with that being the starting point, like you're mentally ill, I'm mentally ill too.
Let's date.
Romance.
Sparks.
Like, I don't know if it's almost like a trauma bonding. It's like, both people are super empathetic towards each other.
Yes.
That it might just not go anywhere if they're not proactive enough in helping themselves. I'm not saying that the one person should help the other person, but I think at least one person should be more proactive to the situation. In helping and having more patience and helping both parties. Because if, just like you said, like if you're just simmering in that, then both people would just simmer in that.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's healthy.
No,
like,
it did not work.
It's like support group gone rogue. Like it
was hard, because it just like, I think it's kind of like not like you're at that point you're not really living with your condition. Then you're just like, that's just become you, but like you're so much more than sometimes your feelings or like your mental illness or whatnot. So like I just think you're so much more than that as a person. So just recognize that.
Real eyes.
Recognize.
Right.
Yeah.
How is it? How has it been dating with mental illness?
Oh, it's been like really difficult. Yeah, I think especially this year, like I have really just feel like I can't, like sometimes I just don't know how to function, or like I'll just act like I get in my own head. Like I'll like go on a date and the entire time I'm just like, oh my God, I'm acting so weird right now. Like I'm acting so like, like I'm just like, here I go again, like being fucking depressed. Like I just like go through that entire thing. And then like afterwards I'll go home and I'm like, that was silly. Like it's just like, and sometimes it's like I would like go and like talk about like my feelings and like
to the other person,
like, oh, I like struggle with depression and stuff like that. And then afterwards I would just feel like I had just been in therapy for like 2 hours.
So you just like develop a friendship and you no longer want to fuck
the person. Because I would be like fucking my therapist, and then why would I do that?
Might as well fuck your therapist.
Hello. But that's it's not like the easiest for sure.
I think a lot of people like wouldn't know they're dealing with mental illness when they're dating, and it's just they kind of blame it on the nature of dating.
I see what you mean.
It's like, oh, this is just what dating is. Like people just play these games, and then I just have to feel sad, but maybe they just have depression. They just don't know.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm like, do people think I'm just like a huge bitch? You know, like when I'm like,
no, if anything, people think I'm the huge bitch.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You know, like how when you're in the middle of a social situation and you suddenly feel really depressed for no reason.
Yes.
And sometimes that would happen. I'm like, oh no.
You know that meme where like the man in the corner, that black and white meme, and then just people mingling and they're just like in the corner.
Yeah, holding a cup. Like. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like that, but like I'm like, nobody knows I want to go home and masturbate. I don't want to be here.
You're like, I don't want to be here. Yeah, like that's kind of like my struggle. Like I kind of fall into that, and I wouldn't like immediately verbalize it. I'll just kind of simmer in it.
Like mid-date, like you will be like on appetizer and you're like, yeah, I'm depressed.
I'm so depressed. Yeah. Or like I'll go over to like I'll go over to the other person's house, and like in the middle of it I'm like, oh my God, I'm so depressed right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's do you know Modern Love? It started out, I think, as a podcast or a book.
I've heard about it, but
and so they had like a series on Amazon Prime. More money to Jeff Bezos, but anyways, and there was one episode where it's Anne Hathaway who acts as so she was like someone dealing with bipolar issues, but her bipolar are very, very extreme. So she would go on like 5 days of being really, really happy, just like extremely joyous. Yeah. And then the 6th day, she just like would fall into a deep, deep depression.
Yeah.
But the episode talks about her going on like promising a guy to go on a date when she was really happy. And then on the day of the date, she fell into a depression and never made it to the place. Yeah. And there was one part where she still forced herself to go on the date, and she was just like in really shitty place in her life, or like in her emotions. And so she didn't enjoy herself on the date too. But anyways, that series or that episode like really focuses on like living with the condition. And it kind of reminded me of that, where you're just midday and you're like, this is it. I'm really depressed.
Me after eating my burrata, I'm like, this is it. I have depression. I am depressed. Yeah. But how do you feel like being in a relationship
with mental illness? with depression?
Yeah.
It's different because, well, I don't know if it is that different. At least there's less of the like, does he like me? Does he not like me? That whole game thing. But it's more so like, don't want to disappoint my partner.
Yeah.
Because I think my partner is mentally strong. So how do you say the opposite of
strong?
Someone without mental illness? Like
How, like,
I think he's
good mental health.
Yeah, he has good mental health. So not to my knowledge, I don't think he has ever experienced mental illness to the degree that I have. So it's sometimes I feel hard to like voice my concern or emotions because I will have days where I'm like, it's really bad. And I know he will be completely empathetic.
Yeah.
But I think there's there's pros and cons to it. The pros are that that he can always be more proactive.
Right.
And that's what I mean by like, I think at least one person should. Because I could be in like really shitty spot. And if he wasn't really proactive in like, hey, let's help you through this, or let's get you out of here, or whatever, then I think I would just simmer in that much longer than I intend to. But the con is maybe he deep down, like I know maybe he would never understand what it is to
that extent.
To that extent, because the other person has never lived through it. And so the empathy, I wonder if it will be enough.
Right.
And so there are times where I'm in a really bad place. I don't know if I should tell my partner because I don't know if, like, sometimes I just need to be in depression.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Sometimes I just need to simmer there. I just need to be in depression. And if I talk about it, I feel like he will be really worried and wants to get me out of it like soon, or like, but it's not about that. It's about me just having to talk about my feelings, and then I'll be okay. I know I'll be okay. But I just need to be here for now. And people without mental illness, I don't know if they understand that. It's like talking to my parents almost. They're like, they're so worried about you that they want you to be okay. So they're trying everything to make you okay. But then that probably just isn't working, because it could make me feel like stressed. Or a lot of pressure to be like, oh my God, I can't let them down. I don't want to disappoint people I love.
Exactly. I think a lot of the times people think of like depression and mental illness, they're like, oh, I have to like help you. I have to like bring you to this brighter place, or like help you get better, solve your problem. But that's a lot of times that's not what they need. It's almost like you just have to like be there with them and hold them. Like you don't have to do anything. It's almost just like, imagine like just holding something and throughout in like a very steady kind of way. I think that's it. Because
the opposite of depression isn't happiness. It's like calm. It's like being like stable and balanced. Because if it's happiness, then that's bipolar. Like it's just a fucking roller coaster every fucking week.
Oh my God.
But definitely, like, to end this episode, I think we're doing well in terms of like quote unquote normalizing mental illness, because we have always been known to like talk about it so openly. Even with our friends, we're just like, yeah, I'm just really depressed. So and I did see a shift in our friends, like our friend group, to be more like understanding when we're going through the feels and stuff. Because we seem to be the only two people that
like sometimes in the middle of a social situation, when I just lie down and stop talking.
And then I'll text you some memes and I'll be like, I get
it. That's it.
Because it's so hard for you to leave a social situation by saying, I just want to go home. It's like someone is about to slit your throat or something. So you just wait it out until everyone is all tired.
I'm like, can you just leave so I can leave?
So you're like waiting for someone to like leave so you could be like, oh yeah, I should leave too. But it's like for some reason it's so difficult.
I know. I don't know what's my problem. Just my like trauma coping thing.
And then for me is like, I'm so good at telling people I want to leave, but then immediately when I say it, I'm like, I feel so bad. Does people think I'm selfish? Me leaving on a weekday at 9 p.m.?
What's wrong with us?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So we should like have a code, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like if we want to leave, we do like a like a
like a little song.
I don't know, like, some like gang sign.
We'll develop that.
Yeah, we'll develop a gang sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, it's nice to be back though. I feel like I lost a sense of purpose just now.
Yeah, I feel like it's good to be back and now I'm like, oh, I actually feel like I'm ready to do this again.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So definitely. It's so nice to be back recording because I miss talking nonsense to people and getting donations for it.
Unsolicited advice.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Teen, for supporting us. We love you. And just wake up and make anyone call you daddy. That's it.
Just grab anyone by its throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lastly, if you like today's episode or if you want to share your thoughts with us, you can follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at SUGAHONEYBBT. And you can also find us separately at BBT Mommy and at Sensitive Bow.
That's right. And remember, whether you love us, hate us, feel indifferent about us, you can always go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. And you can also PayPal us and support us. Pay for our therapist. All right. And that's it.
Bye.
Bye.